second straight night, the New York Mets managed to have the game-tying runners on base there in the ninth inning, all for them just to blue balls us and lose this one again, this time dropping this series to kickstart their second half right after the All-Star break, and they dropped this one in a horrendous fashion. Now, the score might not be so lopsided, but the context on how this ball game fared certainly had you feeling that the Mets game had this game over pretty much as soon as the Reds started to put the bat to the baseball. That was the reality, everybody. Horrendous fundamental baseball by this New York Metropolitan team, and it couldn't come at a worse time as they decide on the same day that David Wright is long-awaited, highly anticipated, finally having his own ceremony after having his number 5 inducted in the Mets Hall forever and officially in the Mets Hall forever. On that same day, the Mets give up 5 runs and lose this one by a final score of 5-2 and drop the series already against the Cincinnati Reds. The same Reds team that has one of the worst offenses in all of the National League, but cue the Mets yet again, because when it comes to teams out of the NL Central that are not known for their offensive upside, step right up and meet the Mets, because they not only forget how to hit the baseball, they forget how to play fundamental baseball defensively, and everything was a perfect storm into their demise in this one that we're about to break down right here, right now. I'm disgusted. I'm pissed for the Mets to go out here on David Wright's big day and have absolutely nothing to show. When, mind you, started the ball game with the lead, a second consecutive game where the Mets had themselves a 2-run lead against the Cincinnati Reds, and for a second consecutive night, the Mets blow it in a horrendous fashion. You not only look at the defensive miscues, what we saw there, Ronnie Mauricio. Ronnie, what are you doing overthrowing at second base? Luis Torrens throwing a first. That would have been nice if someone was there. Doesn't make all that much sense when you look back at that throw as to why Torrens was doing that. Luis, what were you doing? I don't understand it. And then you add in, not only is Ronnie Mauricio having fundamental issues, not only is Torrens having fundamental issues, but then Pete Alonso with a lollipop throw to home. Oh my God. Increased the lead, gave them, I believe, that 5-2 lead at the time, and they would go on to win 5-2. Juan Soto is just shy of hitting a 3-run tank that we see in the ninth inning, and he strikes out in a half swing that you could rightfully argue maybe it wasn't a swing. Some of you guys think it was, some of you guys think it wasn't. Either way, the Mets have now dropped back-to-back games against the Reds, and the Mets have dropped 3 consecutive games total if we go back to that series finale loss in Kansas City against those Royals. So I want to hear from all you Mets fans chiming in live on a replay. How mad are we right now? What is the frustration level? Because it's one thing to come back after the All-Star break and play flat. It's another when the Mets have had leads in back-to-back ball games and fundamental baseball, along with a complete lack of approach with runners in scoring position, comes to smack them smack dab in the face. And then you add in the fact that, oh yeah, it's David Wright's big day, the most anticipated game for many Mets fans all season long. A sold-out crowd at Citi Field of over 40,000 rocking, and all you have to show for it is 2 earned runs, a bunch of errors, even though it was only 1 technical, but it really felt like 3, and this is how we're going to have it? Disgusting display of baseball by the Mets this weekend. That's an understatement. I'm very discouraged to get into this. No, I'm not looking forward to breaking down this ball game for you guys, but I have to because we're frustrated. How can you not be frustrated? Miss me with the nonsense that, oh, you know, the Mets are in fine position when it comes to the standings. Guys, this is a prime opportunity for them to gain ground, and they choose to not do it. The Mets are, I believe, if I'm not mistaken right now, are 4 or 5 games at least below 500. Or I actually shouldn't say that because the Reds are above 500. I was about to say against teams below 500. That is true. The Reds are above 500, however, even though it's just by a couple games. But as we take a look at the quick wildcard standings right now, the Mets are the second wildcard. They're 2 games behind the Milwaukee Brewers, and they only have 2 games on right now. The Padres only technically 1 they have on Padres for that second wildcard spot. You got the Chicago Cubs as the best team out of the National League currently. You got the Dodgers at number 2 and the Phillies at number 3. So much opportunity for the Mets to clean up their mess, but what have we seen continue to bite them in the ass, everybody? You guys are going to, and I apologize, that was my slide there from the other day when I was talking about Mitch Voigt. Ignore the stats that you guys see beside me. That was from last night's game. I'm going to show you guys the numbers right now from tonight's game. This is how the lineup ended, everybody. And as you guys can see beside me, another horrendous day at the plate for Francisco Lindor. Another brutal day there with the strikeouts for Juan Soto. Whether he's getting caught not looking or he himself is just not putting the bat to the ball, it's a problem. And the polar bear only giving us one hit in this one. Nimmo in the leadoff spot can only do so much for you. Mets in their top 1 through 4 only had a total of 2 hits in this one. In the same game that Mark Vientos finally looks like he's starting to break out, finally looks like he's starting to get into groove. In the same game that both Mark Vientos and Brett Beatty, 2 absolute strongholds in the sense of guys that are trying to create themselves to be in a position to be the everyday third baseman for the Mets. If it isn't going to be Ronnie Mauricio, who had himself not only bad fundamental baseball today, but looked piss poor with his at-bats as well. We're going to talk about Ronnie, what I did not like about him today. Brett the Hitman, more like Brett Bonds Beatty hitting home runs. I love that from Beatty, but on the same day that guys like Brett Beatty and Mr. Mark Vientos step up for you, on David Wright's day, from a couple third basemen to the legend third baseman, it still is not nearly enough for this Mets team. Luis Torrens may have had 2 hits that you guys see there, but that does not tell the whole story whatsoever. Torrens is what costed the Mets runs to begin this ball game, and that needs to be accounted for. Torrens is lackadaisical, boneheaded. What the hell are you doing? Error there to first base is what kickstarted the offense for this Reds team. Clay Holmes couldn't get out of his mess, and Clay Holmes with another outing where he's not able to give the Mets at least 6 solid innings. And again, this was the risk that you took when you signed Clay Holmes and wanted to stretch him as a starter. But what we're seeing right now is a reality that Clay Holmes is not being the guy that we need him to be. 5.1 innings of 6 hit, 5 run, 4 earned run baseball because he had horrendous defense behind him was the demise of Clay Holmes today. A pair of walks and 3 strikeouts. Not having proper put-out pitches doesn't help either. Brooks Raley makes his long-awaited return to this Mets bullpen, and we're all so excited about that because Raley does what Raley does best, and that's by going 1, 2, 3. But it still does not matter, regardless of what Raley does, regardless of what Stanek does, regardless of what Davinsky does, because when this Metropolitan offense is as abysmal as they were when it came with runners in scoring position today, and it really pains me to say this, guys, because the Mets were getting something going. They were finally, in the final week of before the All-Star break there that we saw from Baltimore to Kansas City, they were finally hitting with runners in scoring position every game. Even yesterday, even with the Mets losing 8-4, you can't criticize them for their lack of hitting with runners in scoring position because they won 3 for 5. Tonight, 1 for 10 with 11 left on base. The Mets saved the worst for David Wright's big day. I'm disgusted to say that. The Mets only have 3 more wins than the Reds right now. The Mets are only 55-44. Remember when the Mets were 21 games above 500 earlier this year? Yeah, I do. And then you lost 14 of 18 games. Yeah, I remember that demise as well. I hate it. And right now we are seeing a continued notion of what the problems that have plagued this team to a degree in the first half coming back to bite them in the ass yet again here in the second half. Now, a big question that I have for every single one of you guys watching this live as well as on replay, everybody, is as follows. So please spam in the live chat as well in the comments down below. I want to hear it. What is your level of concern with this Mets team on a scale of 1 to 10 right now? And I know, again, team's still 10 games plus above 500. That's great. But when you understand the context and how this team has continued to not perform consistently, how they were not even able to show up at home with a roaring crowd at Citi Field, the way that they've done brilliantly in the first half of this season, where is the home field advantage? Where are all the little things that were working right for this team? Because right now they have little to nothing to show for it at the time of talking right now. Alvin with the $2 holla. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. This isn't a playoff team if things don't change. I agree that the Mets have major problems if they don't make proper adjustments with their runners scoring position woes, as well as obviously their constant influx with offense. This has been something that has continued to hurt them all year long, from the pitching with the no stability on the bullpen end. You need to add stability there. To the rotation, you need to add stability on that front. So, oh yeah, the offense, by the way, the Mets are still one of the worst teams in all the National League and hitting with runners in scoring position. But no, we're not going to talk about that because, we're already halfway plus through the season. It doesn't matter. If you ask Steve Cohen, Steve, and I love Steve to death. He's arcane. I understand that. But I will never forget when Steve went out right before the All-Star break and tweeted out and said how the Mets runners scoring position woes aren't going to last forever. Like that too, that tide is too going to turn. Well, I'm sorry, Uncle Steve. Outside of a week of baseball, there has been no tide that has turned. There's been nothing of the sort. The Mets have the exact same issues that they have had going back to their first series in Houston, where they dropped 2 games out of 3 that we covered intensely right here on the platform for all you guys to check out. So let's see. We got a lot of people in the 8 category when it comes to frustration. We got some fans in the 11 category. We got some fans up here in the 10 category, 11, 9, 5. Okay, we have a bit more of an optimist in Blair. I don't disagree with that necessarily either. I'll get into why I'm not happy, but I know the sky isn't falling just yet. Daniel Caps, great member in the chat. Happy to have you in, Daniel. Daniel says, Wardy, we lost 20 of our last 30 games. This is a problem. Oh, it most certainly is a problem. I'm not forgetting. Trust me, I've covered, I've watched, and I've endured every single game this season like each and every one of you. And what the Mets are going through right now is a continued issue that they have had throughout the majority of their season. Scrap the pitching lab, $2, Pat. Thank you so much. It's not as much scrapping the pitching lab as it is, Pat. The Mets need more quality. The lab is not going to turn nobody into somebody every single time. It worked with Griffin Canning for a great stretch. It worked to a degree with Clay Holmes. It may work more with Frankie Montas, right? But it's not going to work with everybody, right? It worked with Kranick to a degree. It worked with Brazo to a degree. But these things will only last you so long. So what do you do if you're a Mets staff that was carried by your pitching, that is now your demise, as well as an offense that is far from nearly as consistent as to what a deep playoff caliber team should be? And that's by making moves. How many times do we need to beat this drum? And I'm sorry that I'm yelling at you guys. I just got to yell at something. So you guys have to be the culprit here. Why do we have to wait to consider some guys in the farm? Why do we have to wait to make a move of at least something of substance for this bullpen to bring more stability? Why do we have to wait so much longer for a starter just for David Stearns to go out of his way to tell us at the deadline, oh yeah, we tried for a lot of these guys, but the prices were just too high and wasn't worthy of the asking price? Miss me with that nonsense. What I want to see is for them to go out and do what they're supposed to do, and that's make proper moves. And I understand. I know you might be saying, Wardy, teams usually don't go out of their way to make big moves this time of year, and you're not wrong. I 100% understand that. You have to play the market. But even while understanding how the market is being played, there are without question players out there right now that the Mets can acquire without having to give up nearly as much of a premium as to what fans are being made out to believe, and yet they decide still not to do it because they are going to wait as long as they possibly can to figure out what they need to do before they reach their end-all be-all conclusion that they have to seek actual help. This is what is pissing me off. I can't stand it. It drives me up a wall. I understand. I completely get it that Rome wasn't built overnight, right? You're not going to be able to add all these players tomorrow. Breaking news, the Mets acquire Edward Cabrera. Breaking news, the Mets acquire there, and let's take Danny Colon from the Twins. Breaking news, the Mets acquire Cedric Mullins. They can go ahead and do all those things, but the more we do not do anything, and the more that we think that our in-house options and our in-house idiotic, stupid effing, I'm sorry, I'm getting on a tangent here. Their stupid coaching philosophy with hitting and scoring position, because on the same day that Francisco Alvarez just hit his 10th home run, a nuke for AAA Syracuse. He's hit 10 home runs in 16 games in the minor leagues since being sent down. But oh great, we got Luis Torrens to nuke this entire ball club with his lack of fundamental play to begin this ball game. What are we doing? Then you add in the fact that when you get to the offense, it makes me want to throw up because of how much it pisses me off how we continue to see this every single time out there. Why? I just don't understand. I'm really trying to grasp and figure out how. How do we continue to get here? How do we get out of here? You want to know how you get out of here? When you're in a rut and your captain Lindor is playing like shit, and I love Lindor. Lindor has not batted well the past month plus. We all know this. When it comes to Soto, we love Soto, but he can't hit with regards to scoring position if it smacks him across the face. He's currently batting a .180 with not even a 400 slug in that category. Soto hasn't hit a home run with two or three guys on base all season long. Nimmo, love Nimmo. I don't have too much gripes to say about him, but Alonso's finally starting to get into a rut. McNeil, Mauricio, Beatty, Terrence, these guys can only carry you so far when you look through your 6 through 9. This is the reality of when you do not have consistency in your lineup. And you say to yourself, and you ask yourself as a Mets fan, what can the Mets do to change course of the philosophy? Because even if you add a bat of significance, even if you say, F it, we're going to go ahead and pay a premium, and we're going to bring in Eugenio Suarez. We want a guaranteed slugger right in the heart of the lineup. Even if you go ahead and do that, it does not automatically solve all the issues with the scoring position woes that this team has. Is Suarez a dog with runners in the scoring position this year? Absolutely. Still does not change the fact that you have to do more and you need to actually build some type of proper consistency with your hitting approach. Who are we talking about, everybody? We're talking about these damn hitting coaches. Eric Chavez, Jeremy Barnes, you probably see this right now. It's no ill will against you guys at all, but I'm going to continue to yap my effing head off because of the incompetence that continues with a team with such lofty expectations. At some point, something needs to change. Do we have to go through the entire season by being below league average with runners in scoring position to finally get it through David Stearns' skull to say, hey, you know what? Maybe we should make a change. Maybe I shouldn't care about the hitting coaches who have been here before I was even in office as Pobo, and I should actually cut bait with them and make my own hires. David, it's long overdue. Make it happen. Because right now, David, and I love you, Stearns, there are plenty of things I like about David Stearns, but look at all the acquisitions that David Stearns has made entering this season. How many of them are going as planned? The vast majority of them have been underwhelming so far. Between the one-off signings and the adjustments that we're going to bring in and this guy to replace this guy, the vast majority have not worked nearly in the favor that we hoped as fans at this point. So the same way that I will absolutely always uplift when things go right for David Stearns, when things go right for Carlos Mendoza, when things go right for this Metropolitan team, it's the exact same way as a normal rational fan. I'm going to call their asses out when they have this continued problem and no one seems to know what the hell they're supposed to do about it, right? This is a season-long issue. This is not something that just started last night. And it pisses me off because I was so encouraged. I was really encouraged to finally see this team lock in with their runner and scoring position issues. And I know that one game does not dictate everything. So the Mets go on for the next week and hit, anywhere from 250 to 400 plus every game of runners in scoring position. I will have little to complain about there. But for the time being, outside of one effing week and a half of baseball, going back to right before the All-Star break, the Mets have literally little to nothing to show in that category and how to get something going. Nothing. And that is where we have a problem as to where are we supposed to point the problem at. It has to be on the coaching. It needs to fall somewhere because you can only blame the players so much unless you're going to get rid of them, and we know you're not going to do that. At least not yet. So what are you going to do here? You have no idea how much it pisses me off to say this, mind you, in a scenario when the Mets are still 55-44. I sound like I'm Wardy talking Mets last year when we were 11 games below 500, but that isn't the case. But when you have these lofty expectations, when you have the talent on the roster, when you have Juan effing Soto, the largest contract in North American sports history, I'm sorry. I'm going to go on a limb and say I am not content with your lackadaisical bullshit you call baseball that we just saw over the past 24 hours. Miss me with that nonsense. Thank you guys, everyone, to chiming in live on a replay. This is a bit more of an unhinged Wardy today, and I do apologize for that, but there is good reason for it. I'm very frustrated, obviously. I got a lot to vent. I have a lot to voice here, but if you guys haven't already, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button on your way. You really think they are going to turn it around? Mike, here's the thing. I have confidence that they can. I just don't know how. You and I are grasping at straws right now. I can suggest that they should make a coaching change. I can suggest that they should go out and land a bat of significance in their lineup. But suggestions mean nothing when the front office will do nothing. We need them to actually do something. We need them to make something happen here. And I know David pays attention. I know Mendy pays attention. I know all those guys in the Mets organization are chiming into Mets content every single week. If you think they aren't, I got a bridge to sell you. I know this firsthand. They're paying attention. So they care at least a little bit about the fan point of view and what we're all seeing as a clear problem, that they will get their heads out of their asses, fingers crossed sooner rather than later, to finally get something going here. Shout out our amazing sponsors that make today's show happen here, everybody, at SeatGeek. Make sure you guys utilize our promo code WARDY10 because as you guys can see beside me, they have a fantastic app and a fantastic grading scale from 1 to 10 red to green, meaning that if you guys want to purchase Mets tickets, but it's in the more 1 through 4 range and the red, it's not a good bang for your buck. If you find tickets tickets in the SeatGeek gap more in the 7 through 10 range in the green. It's a great bang for your buck, and you should go ahead and land them. So whether you need Mets tickets, again, concert show tickets, comedy show tickets, whatever you need on the ticketing space, I just hope you didn't attend today's game with the exception of the Wright ceremony. I know most of you guys did. For that reason, obviously, head over and check out our great friends at SeatGeek and utilize our promo code WARDY10 down below in the description. That way you too get 10% off your next ticket purchase, everybody. And before we rapid fire and break down what went so wrong about this Mets team today, getting to all your comments, questions, and concerns, because I do not want to waste any time with that, everybody. Let's hear one more quick word from our other amazing sponsor today, at Moomoo, the official trading platform of the New York Mets. Hey Mets fans, if you love diving deep into the numbers like WAR or ERA, then you absolutely are going to love what today's video sponsor Moomoo brings to your investing game. Think Moneyball, but this time for your portfolio. I'm beyond excited to share that Moomoo, the proud trading platform of the New York Mets, is here to level up your investing. Moomoo is a global trading platform currently serving over 25 million users in markets like the United States, Canada, Singapore, and Japan. Whether you're just starting out or if you're a more seasoned trader, Moomoo's app and desktop platform offers commission-free trading on stocks, ETFs, and options, no contract fees either. So plus, you get premium tools, guys, whether it's going to be the institutional grade analytics, Morningstar research, and analyst ratings, all free for funded users. And right now, Moomoo is doubling down for Mets fans. Sign up through my exclusive link down below, make a qualifying deposit, and get up to, yes, 60 free stocks, plus not one but 2 Mets Suite tickets. Not to mention, Moomoo customers can get free tickets to all Monday home games at Citi Field, and who knows, you may even see me at a game. And with 0 commissions and 0 contract fees on stock and ETF options, you keep more of your wins. Are you guys ready to trade smarter? Download Moomoo now and swing for the financial fences. And shout out once more to Moomoo for being an amazing sponsor here on the platform. I'm just so mad. Today's really one of those days where it's hard not to show the emotions. I wanted this for David Wright just as much as any other Mets fan wanted this for David Wright. That is quite literally the main reason why Wardy's kind of crashing out today. It has 10 times more to do with this being Wright's day. If the Mets lost the series, I would have still been mad regardless, but all you had to do was give us a day. Just give us one day. Like, the Mets playing like dog shit on days that they have ceremonies for their top alumni sounds like a day that ends in Y. It's like cheese and wine. It pairs so well together because we're so used to it. Why is it so disheartening that heading into today's game, I did have that looming over my head thinking to myself, there's a great reality the Mets don't show up today because that's so Metsy to do. I mean, as soon as Wright shouted out the Wilpons for, making his career happen and everyone was booing, it just reminded me on the Wilpon stink that still unfortunately plagues this team at times when they have big moments and are trying to step up. And today was a great example of exactly that. Russell, my man, great supporter here with the $5 holla, says, on David Wright's special day, the Mets take a dump in a Citi Field. Mets 29th and heading with runners to scoring position in MLB. So second to last. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that, Russell. Can you tell? Oh my God, just disgusting. Pat Benson, you can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit. Wiser words haven't been said yet today. Zach Flagerton with the $2 holla. This is a season collapse. It's gone on long enough. I mean, to suggest this is a season collapse, I think we're getting ahead of ourselves here, but there is absolutely something wrong that's been going on with this team that they have yet to rectify or remedy. You can't make the idea that, oh, well, we're going to come back in the second half and we're going to go ahead and steamroll through all these bad boys. Maybe that's what the Mets thought, but holy shit, did they get themselves another slice of humble pie. I hope it humbles them. I hope it wakes their ass up, because if it doesn't, the Mets are going to go ahead and get swept tomorrow. And there's a great reality that the Mets get swept tomorrow, because Mets on day games, Sunday games, after already losing the series, they don't show up enough when they've already won the series. What makes me think they're going to step up tomorrow? I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. Until then, though, everybody, a lot of things to be frustrated by with this club, understandably so here. In the chat, we said, Joseph said, this is the first time I've seen Wardy be actually realistic. Way to go, Wardy. Joseph, I don't know if I should be offended or appreciate the comment. No less. Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that. I mean, the only thing that might not be realistic to you guys is just being an overly big optimist. I'm a Mets fan. I support my team. Anytime that my team has a chance to succeed, I'm going to support them. Anytime my team is connected to a player that makes sense for them, I'm going to talk about it and say how much I think it actually makes sense for the club and the optimism that comes along with it. I understand if I get too optimistic, because that's going to happen at times when you cover the Mets for 11. You want to talk about positives more than negatives with them on a daily basis. basis, but the same way that we talk about the positives is the exact same way we will always talk about the negatives. This is why Wardy will never not be genuine with you guys when it comes to how I react to these games and how I'm going through the emotions like each and every one of you. Miss me with the nonsense that, oh, we're 10 games above 500, there's nothing to worry about. You're the same type of fair weather fan that doesn't care about the little things that every other diehard is always going to. And that's what makes the winning so much sweeter when it happens. That's why I freak the hell out when the Mets really get their winning ways going. The same way I freak the hell out when they get their losing ways going, when we know that they're supposed to be a much better team than what they're currently making themselves out to be. Doesn't matter if you're 10 games above 500. Doesn't matter if you're 11 games below 500. There is a high expectation heading into the season. I expect this team to hit that expectation. If they don't, they're going to get called out for it, and that's what I have to say about that. The same way now, let's talk about what went so wrong in this ballgame, everybody. It's headlined by just piss-poor fundamentals. Man, does that pisses me off to say. Again, on the same day that David Wright, known the two-time Gold Glover, the hot corner, they even had a gold third base out there for David to step on to the crowd before he ultimately had his own speech and ceremony. On that same day, Ronnie Mauricio can't make a throw to second base if it smacked him across the face. On that same day, Luis Torrens is wailing it at first when there's no one there. On the same day that you get David Wright in attendance, showcasing what he means to be not only a leader on the field, but most certainly off the field, your captain and Francisco Lindor goes 0 for 5 and strikes out 3 times, and your entire core group of your offense is fairly non-existent this entire ball game. And then you add in the core group and Pete Alonso. I love Pete, but if Pete Alonso could throw to first base competently for more than one time in a row, I would love to see that happen. Alonso has yet to give the Mets back-to-back solid throws at first base. At most, it's been twice. For the most part, he's been Jekyll and Hyde. You don't know what you're getting. And this time, instead of giving you a hard-nosed throw to home, when you clearly need to throw hard on the relay, he lollipops that shit like we're toss and catch with each other pregame. What are we doing? I just don't understand. All right, enough of the rant for now. In the first, it's a 1-2-3 for Clay Holmes, and he strikes at TJ Friedl. Shout out TJ Friedl. I like him. He's a good player. Brandon Nimmo leads off the first inning with a single. Nimmo back in leadoff today. I like that on paper. I like Mendy's lineup on paper, but shame on me for liking anything else about what was going to be happening in this ball game. Because then we see Alonso with a 2-out single after Lindor strikes out swinging, and Soto's called out and strikes. When strike 2 and strike 3 are fastballs all the way up at Buddy's chin, yet we got Helen Keller yet again. Step right up and meet the umps, everybody. Don't you remember that when we go out of our way to spend hard-earned dollars and spend money on streaming services to watch our favorite baseball team every day, that we have to watch the ump show as well, because we clearly are more invested in seeing how umpires feel than the actual game product itself. What an absolute schmuck, bozo. Whoever was the umpire today, go after yourself, buddy. Horrendous. Brutal calls that we saw in Juan Soto. Strike 2 and 3, completely top of the zone towards the effing chin. No wonder he's going to get called out in strikes, because when Juan Soto has a better eye than 99.5% of all umpires in Major League Baseball, it's not all that surprising that when they get it wrong, Soto's going to stand firm on believing that he's right in the end. Alonso with a 2-out single. Then Marky V gets the train rolling here. You get a couple base knocks. Let's make it 3 now. This time with 2 outs. Mark Vientos pulls one to the left side and gives the Mets the early 1-0 lead, and I'm amped up. I'm feeling great for Mark, because there was one man that really needed to start to heat up for this Mets team as we got into the second half. It's Mark Vientos. If the Mets are going to get that power bat that they've been looking for outside of Soto, outside of Lindor, outside of Nimmo, and outside of everyone else that you could think of, even McNeil to a degree, you need Vientos to be that guy again. And Mark was heating up right before the end of the All-Star break. He had a bad game yesterday. He bounced the hell back up today. Vientos gives the Mets the early 1-0 lead, and after that, Jeff McNeil, more like Jeff McWalks. You got, all right, bases loaded, everybody. 2 outs. Ronnie Mauricio's at the plate. We need a bomb from Ronnie. We don't even need a bomb. I'll just take an RBI single. I'll take anything. Instead, Ronnie Mauricio grounds out softly, and that does it there for the inning. In the second, everybody, we would see with 2 outs, Spencer Steer rips himself a 2-out single off Clay Holmes, but Tyler Stevenson strikes out, and that does it for the inning. At the bottom of the second, who steps up right away and turns on a pitch inside? It's Brett the Hitman, more like Brett Bonds-Beatty. Brett Beatty's having us all amped up. He gives the Mets the early 2-0 lead, and here continues a trend, everybody. Say it with me. For a second consecutive day, post-All-Star break, the Mets get an early 2-0 lead within their first 2 to 3 innings. What was the outcome of today's game? Couldn't be more similar to yesterday. Really could not have been more similar to yesterday. Brett Beatty rips his 10th home run this season, demolished that baseball, 110 miles per hour off the bat like the dog that he is, roughly 400 feet off of that schmuck Nick Martinez that we made, of course, look so much better than he actually is today. But that does it for the inning, because God forbid the Mets could get anything from Nimmo, or Lindor promptly struck out Sweeney in the inning. What is it with Francisco Lindor looking at Nick Martinez and saying to himself, holy shit, is that Tom Seaver? His buddy doesn't know how to hit him if his life depended on it. It just isn't happening. So afterwards, the Mets are up 2-0. We get ourselves to the top of the third. In the top of the third, Jake Fraley rips himself his 5th double of the season. Noelvi Marte has himself a hit by pitch. And then here's Luis Torrens with the horrendous pickoff attempt because Alonso's nowhere to be seen. What are we doing? Genuinely speaking, what are we doing there? As bad of a pickoff attempt as they come, here comes Fraley, who comes in to score. Shout out to Torrens for completely nuking any momentum the Mets had in this ball game. It's in the snap of a finger. Clay Holmes, shaking in his effing boots, could not handle the pressure. 1 out later, Matt McLain, who murdered the Mets yesterday after McLain struck out back-to-back times against Sean Manaea. He just ate up Alex Carrillo for breakfast, because why are you throwing Carrillo for more than 1 inning? I don't know. Ask Mendy, in which he still is going to give you a stupid-ass answer. Instead, Matt McLain, everybody, ties the ball game with a 2-out single, and that makes it 2-2 right there for Cincinnati. And we all knew this game was probably cooked at that point. And you're pissed off to say that, as I'm out of focus right now. Let me get myself focused back here in the camera, and then we will continue rambling on from there to break down this very frustrating loss for the Mets tonight, everybody. Juliet, thank you so much for gifting a membership here to Olsis in the chat. Mr. Gonzalez, I really appreciate that. Congratulations on becoming a member in the chat, my friend. Shout out to all my members watching live on replay, everybody. I love you all to death. Jojo, thank you so much for becoming a member. I know, Jojo, you've been a long-time follower. You have always went out of your way to see very kind things. So thank you so much for that, Jojo. I apologize that you're getting the worst at me right now, but please know that it's for good reason. It's because I love you guys, and I'm a frustrated Mets fan like each and every one of you, who unfortunately doesn't really know how to hold it back all that well when things really are not going well in Mets land. Jojo, thank you guys. Juliet, again, for the memberships. You guys are all absolutely fantastic. It's steaming up from Wardy's ranting. It has to be JTB. That's the only logical explanation there. Dave Kaplitz, I love you, Dave. Happy to have you in here, baby. They're killing you. They're killing me, Dave. They're killing me, too. Ricky says, Wardy, what's up, my guy? Long time. I love you, Ricky. Happy to have you in the chat, baby. I took a break from social media, but you're back. Happy to hear that you're back, my man. Just very unfortunate that you're here out of all days to be back. Because if I'm being honest, you could have came back a couple days from now. You probably would have been okay, right? Because we're down bad at the moment, breaking down this 5-2 loss. Jojo, thank you so much for upgrading the membership as well to the captain membership. That's very sweet of you. For those that don't know, the captain membership, that's obviously named after the captain himself and Mr. David Wright. So thank you, Jojo. You're absolutely fantastic. And to all my live members, everybody, again, our next member-only live show will probably be happening either this off day on Thursday upcoming or next week's off day if it's before the trade deadline. Either way, we will make sure that we get a stream out for you guys. Q&A segment solely for my members only there before the month ends, like we always do. So be on the lookout for that. See y'all next March. We still got more to go there, TTV, but I appreciate you chiming in nonetheless. I'm so grateful. Oh, Jojo, you're too kind. Thank you. Wardy, check my membership for a 5-month love message. Steven, I apologize if I missed it, my man. Let me see if I can go up here. They need to get rid of Chavez and another coach. I mean, yeah, if Eric Chavez's ass is not at least lukewarm because he's on the hot seat, then there's a problem, in my humble opinion. And the problem, too, is that the Mets are not going to be quick to cut bait with Eric Chavez. At least that is not the idea that we've been given from what reporting has suggested over the past month or so. But as we continue on, everybody, and as we would see the Cincinnati Reds tie this ball game 2-2, because God forbid we're allowed to have nice things here on this fine Saturday, the only thing I'm looking forward to tonight is our latest UFC card, Dustin Poirier's final fight of his career against Max Holloway. For all my fight fans out there, hell yeah. Hope you guys enjoy watching tonight. I'm just looking forward to that and not looking forward to talking about Mets baseball. So I'm actually grateful that we have a day game tomorrow, so don't got to worry about an updates video for you guys in the AM, because there's no positive updates to share right now. If you guys want any news on the front of the trade rumor season or on what's happening with the prospects, check out our content from the past 24, 48, 72 hours. We have videos that have dropped each of the past 3 or 4 days now that will have you covered. I know a lot of you guys haven't seen it yet because it hasn't nearly hit the algorithm the way that I thought it was going to. And I really think it just goes in hand with baseball coming back now and the Mets losing back-to-back games. Usually when the Mets lose, fans care less about everything else. Even if the topics are usually enticing, you're less enticed when you're pissed off about your team Understandably so. Another reason why I hate talking about when the Mets lose, because it impacts me in more ways than one. Doesn't just impact me as a Mets fan, it impacts me as a creator as well, because it impacts immediate viewership, it impacts immediate eyes, it impacts immediate interest, even wanting to have these conversations. And for me, I really have to dig deep to try to go out of my way to break down this shit. Would I much rather just hit end right away, not even do anything after the Mets game is done, tune it out until they play the very next day? That's what I used to do, at least back when I was a fan. I would try not to fixate on losses too much because you knew that you could bounce back the very next day, but it's impossible not to fixate on them now when I literally cover the club for a living. So a blessing and a curse, either way, we're here. Austin Hayes on the 4th inning leads things off with a walk. After 2 outs, we see Tyler Stevenson get on with a single. Then Jake Fraley makes it 3-2, all thanks to Ronnie effing Mauricio having no effing clue what he's doing. Ronnie trying to, again, it's a Jake Fraley single. Okay. The Jake Fraley single happens because we see Ronnie then make a boneheaded play there trying to get the turn to second base. That makes it 3-2 if I'm not mistaken. It's either that or the next run. I know it's one of the two there. We get a hit by Beatty in the bottom of the 4th and a hit by Terens. 2 on, 2 out for Brandon Nimmo. And Brandon Nimmo lines out right away to do it for the inning. And the top of the 5th, 1-2-3 for Clay Holmes. This is only 1-2-3 that you'd see today for the most part. Soto with a 1-out walk after Lindor, surprise, surprise, strikes out swinging. Soto then steals his 12th bag of the year, everybody. And it doesn't matter because Alonso and Vientos go down in order. And the 6th inning, Austin Hayes with a walk. Then Spencer Steer with a 1-out single. And here comes Reed Garrett, everybody. And as Reed Garrett comes in, and this is where we had the blunder with Ronnie Mauricio, everybody. It wasn't from the 3-2 score. It was from now. I'd like to clarify that. Tyler Stevenson puts a ground ball in play. Ronnie Mauricio cannot make the play. He overthrows to Beatty there, and everyone's safe, and that allows the run to come in to score there. Even though it was the force out, that's 4-2 Cincinnati. And then it's 5-2 Cincinnati because Jake Fraley rips his second double of the day when Buddy only has 6 the entire season. Did I remind you guys that the Reds offense is like dog shit? Yeah, we made it look like it's the best thing since sliced bread today. Oh yeah, that's a reality, everybody. So after Fraley makes it 5-2, what was the context of making it 5-2? Pete Alonso gets to relay through from Soto in the deep right corner. Alonso's right around first base. All he needs to do is to make sure that he actually steps through in that throw, doesn't lean back, and have a proper grip. I understand it's heat of the moment, but Alonso had the most lollipop, easy toss to first to home, as if we're doing pregame catch. And naturally, when you have a guy bolting down third base like he's got his entire life depending on it, he's going to go ahead and score. Reds are up 5-2. They would go on to win 5-2 because then the Mets strand multiple runners. They had bases loaded, all thanks to walks that we would see a half inning later. Yet Nimmo strikes out because why? Nimmo hacks at 2 breaking balls not even close to the zone. Buddy was fastball hunting, and it was the worst plate approach we could have seen Nimmo had in a hot minute. Terrible at bat by Nimmo. Then Lindor grounds out softly because God forbid Lindor can be the leader in charge we need him to be right now. He has not been now for a number of weeks, and that in itself is a problem too. At the top of the 7th, after Brooks Raley comes in, what does Brooks Raley, Brooks Bulldog Raley, as they love to call him, do, everybody? You guys see it in the highlights beside me. Brooks Raley goes ahead, and he looks like a dog. He has himself an easy 1-2-3 inning, and his first outing since April of 2024, coming back from that reconstructed Tommy John surgery. And on top of it all, everybody, he strikes out a pair. So Brooks Raley, welcome back, you absolute beauty. Love to see Raley dominate, but I hate to see the Mets have this happen in a losing fashion, especially at the bottom of the 7th. Soto, Alonso, Vientos. All they need to do is get something going. It's the core of your offense. All you need to do is get something cooking. And what happens? They all strike out. Struck out the side is this Reds bullpen, and we get to the 8th. And the 8th, Ryan Stanek gives up a single, but that's okay because Jeff McNeil ends the inning with an absolutely gorgeous catch. Not Jeff McNeil, more like Jeff McFly, laying it out there and flying big time, looking Kevin Pillar Superman there in center as he dives out to make the catch to end the inning unscathed for the Mets. We have the bottom of the 8th, everybody. McNeil, that same Jeff McNeil, more like Jeff I'm going to get on base thanks to an error. McNeil's on right away. Then we see Mauricio ground into a double play because God forbid we had something nice. And Beatty grounds out. So a whole lot of nothing, setting us up for the ninth inning. In the ninth inning, Chris Davinsky works a 1-2-3. Chris Davinsky has been quietly a dog that we're not talking about either. Davinsky with a 1.74 ERA in this bullpen, casually with a 1.74 ERA. Then the bottom of the ninth, another inning, another opportunity against Emilio Pagan, right? Remember, guys, we saw Tito bring in Emilio Pagan with a couple guys on yesterday, or at least one. Pagan starts to save opportunity today, and we see him give up a single to Mr. Elise Terrence. Okay, Terrence is trying to make up for his bad defensive miscue earlier. Then Nimmo is on with a walk. So you're saying to yourself, all right, something's cooking here. 2 on, no out. Here's back to the top of the order in Lindor. What are we doing? Lindor grounds out into a force out that if it wasn't for him bolting, would have been a double play. So runners out of the corners, 1 away for Juan Soto. Juan Soto destroys a baseball, but it's foul. And when I tell you he destroyed a baseball, I'm not exaggerating. It was a 98-mile-per-hour heater upstairs, just out of the zone, that he pulled brilliantly, but just too much to the right side. They challenged it just to save time, and then Soto strikes out on a half-effing check swing the next pitch he sees. Unbelievable. And of course, it's going to stay. It's not going to be overturned. And Alonso flies out just short there of the warning track to Jake Fraley. And the Mets lose this one by a final score of 5-2. They've dropped the series. They went 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. They left 11 on base total. Just disgusting baseball is what we saw transpire in this one. And that's why I'm not going to waste too much. I don't have a lot to say on it as we get to the pitching here. As you guys can see, my grade for Clay Holmes today. Didn't like Clay today. Gonna be honest. There was nothing about Clay Holmes today that had me thinking, oh yeah, Clay Holmes is in a groove today. Clay Holmes did not look good today, in my opinion. Clay Holmes is getting a 3.5 out of 10 from your guy, Wardy. And I'm probably being kind in doing that. I'm going 3.5. Bullpen, easy studs. Bullpen gets an easy 9 out of 10. Bullpen did everything that you could ask for. Bullpen's far from the problem, right? Problem is Clay Holmes not being able to get out of his own messes and not being able to handle the pressure when the defense isn't on your side. Very Tyler McGill of him to completely collapse to a degree after having bad defensive cues behind him. And I understand it's not Buddy's fault when he's had bad defense, but something needs to change there. Something needs to be had, right? Zach, thank you so much for the $5 holla from earlier, Zach. I didn't see that until now. Hot take, big trade acquisitions aren't going to do much. We have the talent already. It all depends on them. This is the exact team that went 45 and 24. I respect that take, and I agree with you in the sense that you need to dig deep. This core group needs to dig deep to get where they want to be this year. No trade deadline acquisition is automatically going to change that for them if they do not get their philosophy figured out from what it currently is so wrong at this very moment. Give me some feedback, Gain. If the company you work for continuously doesn't meet production, your employer is going to hold someone accountable. Am I the only one who experiences this? Tim, I know exactly what you're saying. Step right up and meet Eric Chavez, who's been grandfathered in just like Jeremy Barnes before David Stearns was even here. And you have to wonder just how much more of a leash are those guys going to get when they're not even Stearns' hires. They're not even his guys. On the heading end, everybody. As you guys can see, this is how the ball game ended. This is what you got with the lineup, everybody, is as follows. And this lineup, again, leaves a lot to be desired. And this one, Francisco Lindor, 253 average, 768 OPS. Yeah, Lindor's playing his worst baseball of the year. Not even close. Horrendous. Nimmo, 1 for 4, 262 average, 792 OPS. Soto, 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts, 259 average, 901 OPS. Alonso, 1 for 5, 276 average, 892 OPS. Vientos, 1 for 4, 220 average, 628 OPS. McNeil, 0 for 2, 251 average, 804 OPS. Mauricio, 0 for 4, 218 average, 664 OPS. Beatty, 2 for 3 with a run scored, 236 average, 715 OPS. Luis Terrence, 2 for 3 with 220 average, 609 OPS. A whole lot of mid is what I'm seeing there when I'm looking at that Mets offense right now. And especially when you look, as someone who doesn't care about batting average much, you know it's a problem when 5 through 9, your best hitter there has a 250 average. There has to be something more. There has to be. And there isn't right now. And that's a problem. It is most certainly a problem. Oh, pissed off. I hate when I got to show you guys my worst like this. Not loving it. Henry, what's the lineup for tomorrow? They're switching the lineup too much. Good question. Let's actually take a look at who the starter is tomorrow. is depending on if it's a righty or lefty, will dictate a decent amount there. Tomorrow's starter, of course, it's a 140 game. Okay. Why couldn't it have been 110? Why do you have to make my Sunday drag longer than it needs to? Please. It's the lefty Abbott who's been dominating. Oh, we're cooked. It's Peterson versus Abbott. It's southpaw via southpaw is what we got going on right now. We got two very good lefties toeing the rubber. And what this means is Brennan Nimmo is in leadoff today. Nimmo probably won't be in leadoff tomorrow. You don't have Marte as your righty bat option off the bench right now. And you don't want to throw Jared Young in there against the lefty. If Mendy's smart, this is what tomorrow's lineup should be. My opinion. This is what tomorrow's lineup should be. Leading off, if it ain't going to be Nimmo, needs to be Lindor. It's got to be one or the other. Even with how Lindor has not been playing well, it has to be one or the other, right? So let's just go ahead and say Lindor's back in leadoff tomorrow, right? We'll go Lindor leadoff, Soto 2. Or no, not Soto 2. Then it would probably be Nimmo 2 if you're not going to put Nimmo at 5. I hate the 2-hole shit. I'm not a fan of this constant rotation of between like Vientos. Like Vientos is probably going to be in the 2-hole tomorrow. All right, actually, let's say it together. What is Mendy's lineup going to be? It's probably going to be the following. Lindor at leadoff. Vientos at 2. 3, it's going to be Soto. 4, it's going to be Alonso. 5, it's going to be Nimmo. That's your 1 through 5 tomorrow. Pretty much lock it in. Almost a guarantee. Then you go from your 6 through 9. And your 6 through 9, if we've been paying attention at all, if we just go back to even how the Mets were yesterday against Lodolo, it's probably going to be more of that. Meaning that you're either going to have one of Mauricio or McNeil there. I say you go McNeil after Nimmo. I don't care that's back-to-back lefties, because that's essentially the same thing that you'd be doing. I mean, Ronnie would be batting from the right side, but Ronnie doesn't bat well from the right side. I think you need to really front-load this thing a little bit. Have McNeil there. I like Jeff in that spot a lot, batting 6th. Have Jeff in the 6th spot. And the 7th spot is where the Mets have typically had their worst hitter in the lineup this season, we have noticed, to a degree. So if you're going to have your worst hitter in the lineup in the 7th spot, that should then be Tyrone Taylor, right? If it's going to be TT. Or do you do this? Do you start McNeil in center? Do you put Acuna at second base? And do you then have at DH for the Mets Vientos? And at third base, you will then have Mauricio. Because I don't mind Beatty facing the lefty, but clearly the Mets do. And I think they're going to be bothered enough to say, we're not going to go ahead and put him in there. I 100% agree with you, JTB. I 100% agree. And I need to grab my Into Cloud stuff. As a matter of fact, I need to grab a brewski, and I just need to relax. You're 1,000% right. You're taking the words out of my mouth. That is how my evening will likely be. And I'm glad that you kind of put it together for me. So I appreciate that. Pat Benson with the $10 holla says, I do remember Uncle Steve saying he wants to model the Mets after the Dodgers. I remember putting scrubs in the starting lineup they trade for top talent. Now, funny enough about the Dodgers, I know this might surprise some of you. The Dodgers are actually fairly notorious for throwing out scrubs. But they get away with it often because how deep they are. The Mets don't have the depth as deep as the Dodgers do from pitching to their offense a lot of the times. That's why they get away with it a lot more. You drive home from City, drive safe, all things Mets talk. Thank you so much again for chiming in, as always. Vientos is not a two-hitter. I agree with you. I think Vientos is destined to be back where he should be. I think we can all agree there. Should have Mark Vientos be batting 5th or 6th every game? That's right in the wheelhouse of where he should be. I don't think you should have Mark much higher than that. I think Mark right in the heart of the lot makes sense, gives some opportunity with runners in scoring position, and if he can finally get this swing starting to go the way that we saw today, it could be a step in the right direction, because Vientos today was batting 5th, and he had his productivity there. So I'm not opposed to that. I'm just telling you, Mendy has been so snip, snap, where, oh, we got a lefty we're facing, so we got to put Mark 2nd, we got to put Nimmo 5. It always has to be that way, regardless on the numbers to suggest otherwise. So that, I think, is what I'm going to leave you with, guys. I'm pretty frustrated. I honestly just want to try to sleep this series loss off and hope that we can find ourselves bouncing back tomorrow and have a good victory to break down and a lot of things. And for anyone that checked out our David Wright ceremony stream for earlier, thank you guys so much for that. I mentioned in my ceremony stream, my David Wright ceremony stream, how I was going to go ahead and shoot my shot with someone big in the MLB space to see if they would be down to have a conversation. And I'm happy to enlighten you all by saying that that has been accepted. So I will be doing that recording with said person on Monday, and I will either be dropping that recording sometime on Monday, or I'm going to wait until Thursday, the Mets off day. Probably going to wait until the off day on Thursday because I want it to be a time where there's like prime opportunity for this big banner of a video to drop when it does. But be on the lookout. We do at least have some positives on the content front unrolling, including a very exciting announcement that I'm not yet allowed to share with you guys because we're waiting for one more individual to get things set in stone. But once that is set in stone, I have probably the biggest announcement that I could share with you guys on the platform, or close to one of the biggest announcements that I could share so far in my 5 years of coverage. So that has me very excited. I'm really, really looking forward to getting that started, but it's just a matter of getting all those little details hashed out. We're really close. We're right towards the finish line. I want to say we're probably 2 yards to spare, and that's about that. So the last thing that I will say to all of you is thank you so much for enjoying this little rant vent session with your guy Wardy. I hope you enjoyed the Mets this post game as much as I enjoyed at least breaking down with you guys. I hate talking about losses. Jazz says this Mets team sucks, and I completely understand why he's frustrated. Ethan, I completely understand the frustration as well. But I think it's very fitting that I might as well wrap up the live show, everybody, by showcasing the very exciting event that we have coming up in a couple of days that hopefully will not be a godforsaken game and loss the way that we just saw transpire the past 24 to 48 hours. So, folks, you know the drill by now. If you don't, now you know. Listen up. Let's hear Wardy talk about Wardy Day.
It's Wardy here, and as you can see, we are at gorgeous City Field, and folks, you can get the ultimate, the prime experience with your guy Wardy at our first ever official
Ricky,
Wardy
I
Day.
believe we
August
have
1st,
either 10
Mets,
tickets
San
or just
Francisco
under 10
Giants
tickets
there
left.
for the
I'm being
evening.
transparent. They
Day
are
after
starting to
game
pick
will
up
be
now.
trade deadline.
So if you
your
do want a
friends, your
ticket, I
loved
would
ones,
really
select
suggest
Mets
getting
fans
one
will get the
probably
ultimate
this week.
experience with your guy Wardy. Not only are we going to hang out at the ball game
And it's in the
together,
description
but
down below
folks,
for you to
look
check
at
out.
the seating. We're going to be live here in the left field lounge. You guys will be able to chop it up with your guy Wardy. We're going to be debating as to who's the best pitcher of the rotation outside of Kodai Senga. We're going to be talking about who's the next best prospect to get called up. How do we feel about the trade deadline acquisitions? And guys, as you get back up here then, we are going to be giving you a $18 drink voucher, and with that drink voucher, you guys are going to be able to hit up the bars that we have right outside of here. So easy, so accessible. Again, prime seating, a truly fantastic experience. Our first ever Wardy Day here at Citi Field, guys, where you will get a chance to hang out with your guy Wardy. And the best part too, not only is it this amazing lounge in left field that you guys will hang out with me, but we're going to be on the field, pre-game access there for a group photo op. So I hope to see you, all you amazing Mets fans there. Click the link if you guys haven't already there to check out our available tickets, and let's go Mets. And not only are we going to be sitting here throughout the course of the ball game, you guys can also check out the seats that we have access to all here in the bar area here, right at the Milagro, where you guys can utilize your $18 drink voucher. Again, this is going to be at Wardy Day, August 1st, 2025. Oh wait, yeah, almost forgot. It's also fireworks night. Bang! Hope to see you guys there.
Kevin, if you don't want to hang out with schmucks, then I would suggest stop being a Dodgers fan. On that note, though, that's going to do it, everybody. Thank you again for watching. And let's go Mets. I'll see you all tomorrow. Rain, sunshine, win or lose, we'll be here to break it